They won by 25. It is a blowout. Luckily, it only counts for one. Here's this nugget. Golden State won 13 straight best-of-7 series after winning Game 1. So it's an important nugget. Fourth longest NBA streak. Second longest active behind the Lakers, who are not in the postseason this year. Warriors are 19-1 in series when taking the opening contest. The one loss, that 3-1 special in 2016 in the finals. So Dallas, a lot of numbers working against them, as well as Clay and Steph and Draymond Green. Let's bring in Tim Legler, who takes copious notes while watching basketball games. He's really an advanced scout, just disguised as a TV personality. Tim, it seemed to me three-point shooting wasn't great. Like, there's a place in the game for two-point shots. The offense was really nice from Golden State, even if it wasn't this wear-you-out with the three ball we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it was. And look, we'll get to Luka in a minute because that's a whole nother issue. But I actually think Golden State is going to win this series on the other end of the floor because they're so hard to guard. But I think Dallas contributed to it in the first half because they gave them some opportunities to get freebies. And you cannot give those to Golden State, whether it's after a turnover or after score situations. I mean, this is after two made free throws. And you got Jordan Poole going coast to coast all the way to the rim for basically an uncontested layup. Here again, Brunson with the miss. And now here comes Golden State on the run out. Nobody gets back. Don't stop ball. You get all the way to the rim if you're Steph Curry. Can't allow it. One more opportunity here. That's a bad gamble by Luka Doncic. You put your team in a tough spot, and now you're chasing the basketball. And against this team, you rarely catch up to it, John. And I just thought early in the game, Dallas State contributed basketball instead. And they didn't play well in the first half. But if you go into the locker room, probably in a tie game, if you don't allow some of the easy stuff that you gave Golden State, you have to make them work every trip. But ultimately, they've got a lot of shot makers, a lot of weapons, a lot of multi-dimensional offensive players. So you can't contribute to your own demise by not getting back in transition or by taking bad risks defensively to put your team in a bad position.
Talked about that basketball moving. The players move too. And you like to watch Klay Thompson when he puts up numbers and never dribbles, right? This is the guy we're used to seeing pre-injury, at least tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to the easy stuff you can't allow, you also have to deal with their movement. And Klay Thompson, you know, he was really non-existent in the first half, just didn't get it going, didn't get opportunities. But man, did he get going in the third, and here's how. You know, you get a miscommunication on that guard split. Klay Thompson with a dive to the rim, nice find by Looney. Here he is again, seeing him off an early pin down. This is off a one-pass offense. He comes out, gets a clean look one more time, runs all the way from the left block to the right wing and ends up on the right block for a short pull-up jumper. And then here again, you're trying to play on the high side. Great back cut. So even though he didn't get it going in the first half, Golden State's up 9. What happens in the third quarter? Well, the one guy that didn't really get going basically kills you in the first 6 minutes of the third quarter to put this game out of reach for the most part. And again, John, this is why I think Golden State is a completely different animal to guard than Phoenix was even in the last round for Dallas. Dallas has been a very good defensive team for a couple of months. This requires incredible amount of communication to guard this team because of the number of guys that can beat you and the way that they move bodies around, and they always seem to find the guy when it's his turn.
Yeah, that was rude welcoming them to the Western Conference Finals. By the way, you showed 4 Klay buckets. He dribbled 3 times. Now let's get to Luka because they contained him. 20 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. It's great for a lot of guys. Not that dude.
This is the worst he's looked in the postseason by far. He looked slow tonight. I didn't think he was aggressive enough. He looked indecisive. And Golden State pulled off the one thing Phoenix could not. Golden State managed to put enough bodies in front of Luka to provide help on his penetration and force turnovers without getting gutted at the three-point line, because that's where Phoenix seemed to give Luka the best of both worlds. They either played him straight up and he destroyed them in single coverage, or when they decided to roll an extra guy to him, he managed to pick them apart because Phoenix wasn't quick enough to the three-point line to close out. Golden State was flying around the court tonight defensively. They play small lineups. They have 5 guys that can chase you out there, and I thought they did a really nice job putting somebody in his lap and also being able to recover out on those kickouts. Let's see what Dallas is going to do to adjust. They're going to be much better than they were tonight offensively, I think the problems defensively will be there the entire series.
All right, Tim, thanks. We've seen you the last 2 nights. I have one request. Okay, if you're going to be at home like this, where's the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird picture? Can we get that on the shelf behind you?
Yeah, you got it. Okay. I made a move. It's in a box. I'll get it out for you, especially
I don't want excuses. I want the picture, Tim.
In Orlando, Heat won this series in 6 games before losing the NBA Finals to the Lakers. This time around, the Heat will have home court advantage, and it's been a big advantage so far in their playoff run. Miami 6-0 at home, outscoring teams by 17 points per game. And the Celtics, they're coming off their best three-point shooting series in franchise history, but the Heat ranked second in the NBA in three-point defense during the regular season. Only behind is the Celtics. New here on SportsCenter. You know, both teams shot around this morning. Here are both coaches, starting with Spo.
You have 2 teams that take pride in that, so it should be, very competitive in between the lines. And both teams do it in a way that's not over the top. It's just about doing whatever it takes to get the win.
We know is they want to get back. In my opinion, they're not looking. They have one reason, is because they beat us to go to the finals 2 years ago, and we got to come with that mindset of they have that in their minds.
The thing we really talked about is not being caught off guard, the way we were a little bit against Milwaukee, going from the Brooklyn to Milwaukee series. The physicality was different, so knowing what Miami is all about, how well they're defending and how well they're playing, coming out, not being caught off guard, similar to the way we were in Game 1.
All right, NBA reporter Brian Windhorst, he joins us now live. He's in Miami. Wendy, we already know Marcus Smart's tough as nails. He's listed as questionable, but what are the C's plans if Marcus Smart can't go?
Yeah, he's still sore, and the foot that he sprained in Game 7 is swollen. The Celtics are hoping he responds to treatment during the day, but when you hear something like that the morning of a game, you get a little bit worried. In the last round, he missed a game with a quad contusion, and Derek White started that game, played pretty well, especially defensively, so the Celtics do have a game plan they can go to. Good news for Boston. Robert Williams, who's not played in the last 4 games as he deals with a knee bruise, will be back and available to play and is likely to start in Game 1. But it is obviously going to be a challenge, but if Marcus Smart can't play. On the other side, Kyle Lowry is out for this game with a hamstring injury, so it's possible neither team has their starting point guard in Game 1.
So, the Heat, they won their series in 6 games, so they've basically been chilling for 5 days. Boston had to win Game 6 in Milwaukee, then Game 7 back in Boston. Do they think fatigue will play a factor in Game 1?
Yeah, that's something we're going to be watching, especially early. Since the Heat last played a game, the Celtics have played 3 games in 3 different cities. So this is a significant rest difference. I think you really saw it with a guy like Al Horford, 35 years old, scored 30 points in Game 4 when he played 42 minutes. Over the last 3 games of the series against the Bucks, he only averaged 5 points. So considering the fact that the Celtics, who are already going to be down a man possibly, only usually have about a 7.5-man rotation, and that's such a huge rest and travel disadvantage, about whether that will be a factor, especially as tonight's game gets into the second half.
All right, Brian Windhorst live. Thank you.
All right, let's keep it going and say hello again to Minnesota Timberwolves guard Patrick Beverley, continuing to hang out with us here on SportsCenter. Good to see you here, Patrick. And we just heard the update on Marcus Smart from Brian Windhorst. I want you to take us next level, though. We know how good Marcus Smart is, right? Defensive Player of the Year. But take us there. What does he bring specifically to Boston as a team that makes him just so crucial to this defense?
I think it's beyond basketball. I just think that attitude, persona, the team takes up his makeup when he's there. If he doesn't play, they probably take up the makeup of Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. And those are two different types of makeup. So he's key. He's key in their success. He's key in their wins. He's key in their losses. I mean, he's the Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. I hope he plays. I want to see him play. I want to see him, a type of player like this impose his will on the game, and it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, when you say it goes beyond basketball, those are the intangibles that cannot be taught to players, and that is essentially what we're seeing there with Marcus Smart. Interesting because they played Game 2 of the Bucks series without him, and they did win. So they know that they can get through that. These two teams, both in the Eastern Conference, of course, but only played each other 3 times during the regular season. I still don't think we've given Miami enough credit, Patrick, for quietly slipping into that one spot and being so good consistently this season. What are you going to be watching the most in Game 1?
My biggest thing is coaching. I like to see, the tip ball, first A2, after timeout, first ATO, what coach draws up, how the other coach counters that. I think coaching plays a big part in this. And there's no discredit to the Boston Celtics coach. Coach Spo, he's been there. He's a very disciplined, very, very, very disciplined, very detailed man. And I believe that rubs out on your players as well. And you go to the coach from Boston. He's done a great job preparing them this year. Leans his hat on defense. Came up under obviously Pop. You can't go wrong there. So I'm excited to see how it goes offensively and defensively. And like they said, it's going to be a defensive game. So this is my type of game.
Yeah, Ime Udoka has done an excellent job in his rookie season there in Boston, but many people do believe Spo is the best coach in all of basketball. Real quick, Jimmy Butler, he's averaging over 30 points a game, Patrick, like 6 assists, 8 rebounds, and 52% shooting. Do you think he keeps up that clip in this series?
Yeah, he's very patient. He, as you see the last series, he was very controlled over the whole series. He took what the defense gave him. If the game gave him offense, he took offense. If the game presented, he needed to get a stop and play defense. He did that. He's giving you buckets. If the game created it, he needs to drop dimes. He'll do that too. So I've been very, very, very impressed with Jimmy. I've been impressed with his attitude.